This is Robert Mailing with the Sioux Empire Podcast, and I'm here with Peter Vaughn Pischke. Peter, good to have you here. He's running for the Sioux Falls area school board.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, as I kind of told you a little bit before the interview here, I have not followed the almost said city council again, the school board election very closely. Why don't you clue us in a little bit about what's going on? What are some of the hot button issues? In particular, since you're here and informing us and you're running for the office, what are some of the issues that are making you passionate about running for school board?
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first person or the last to not know what's going on at the school board level. I mean, we're lucky in Sioux Falls that people pay attention at least to what's going on at the city level. So no blame on you for that. Right now I'm running for the school board. There are a lot of pressing issues that I think people here in Sioux Falls don't really know about. So often with school board, we get busy in our own lives, and we try, if we have family, try to spend with kids. So it's hard to meet the enigma that is the school district and really understand what's going on. And so this is a good opportunity for us to connect with the voters and, give them an update. Issues that are, I have my own issues. There are issues my fellow candidates have. A couple common ones, of course, is teacher pay. There was some movement that direction this summer. Legislative session in spring. I want it to be summer.
I hear you.
And there was a pay raise, and the theory is that we'll get to about $48.50, so $48,500 on average. And there's a formula they use to determine that. It's like based on education times, years taught times
so
test results, that kind of stuff.
Did they? I don't recall. Did they legislate that formula, or are they dispersing the money and then kind of leaving that up to the school to decide, or did they legislate the formula?
That's a good question. I'm not totally sure on that answer. That is a good question. The amount of money they give per school district is in the hands of the legislature, and then at that point, there is a lot more control for the school district on how they do pay their teachers.
Sure.
But that's the expected amount.
Okay.
In this area, that's probably about average salary. I think that's maybe a little bit below what they have education-wise, because they have about usually the same education. Most of them have bachelor's, a good portion of them master's degrees. Their education is about the same you'd see over in the medical field, and so their pay comparable. If all things were equal today, you probably see them getting like $60K at the top. But this is a nice step in that direction. You need to understand the state of South Dakota, money does not get spent towards increasing pay very easily. It's still in our state constitution that people that need to travel to Pierre aren't even given enough money for gas. So This is kind of like a political miracle that it happened at all.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. This is more like something I would have seen back when I was living in Minnesota. They would pass something like this where a penny tax for this or that. But I even at the time was telling people, like, well, I'm from South Dakota. In South Dakota, that would have never flown. But it did this year. So what are some of the other issues you're concerned about? Obviously, you're passionate about it because you're running for the school board.
Yeah, I think, I'm speaking more still to generally the candidates. The big issue that has increased over the last 10 years, if people know and they see this number, they're not always sure what it means. So the number is 50% of our school district students attending are on free or reduced lunch program. To at least get in the reduced lunch program, you're seeing families that are about between 40 and 50,000 or less. And once you get to that free lunch, you're much more below that. So we're seeing kids more and more on poverty level. I used to work as a Mormon missionary in the Rapid City area. I also served in Casper for a time. A big problem, because you have so much of the native population in Rapid City, a big problem is sometimes with poverty is that you'd have these big families living in small hotel rooms. By the way, I can tell you which hotels not to go to in Rapid City. That used to be I thought that was a Rapid City problem. But no, now it's in Sioux Falls tier. I was meeting with the South Dakota Education Association, and at the end, how people always say, like, they're very cordial, like, okay, and do you have any questions for us? Not, like, really expecting to get any questions.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the heck? So I asked them, well, what do you guys think of the homeless problem here in Sioux Falls? And they just could not stop talking. They were just going on and on. The guy behind me who needed to interview them next was, like, waiting on us. It is such a big issue. Over the 10 years, all of them said they have had such an increase in families struggling with the economy. And there's that's part of the problem. For whatever reason, I want to get political, conservative versus liberal on things above the school board. So you can decide what the reason is. But the professional class isn't really growing. There has some growth in minimum wage. Or lower, more labor jobs. It's just, it's a tough economy right now, I think, for everyone, but especially people who come with less money to Sioux Falls. And there's a lot of struggle there. And of course, when you have that struggle, people don't understand, it's not a political thing. There are many studies that show, depending on what your wealth is, and I'm not one of those people that believe in privilege or entitlement. I don't approach things like that. Apparently, I didn't go to college enough.
Yeah.
But the studies show that if you come from an upper middle income or an upper class family, you have about around average 30,000 more words in your vocabulary than someone that comes from a lower income family. There's the education disparity is there. And it's just because of their own life situations. When you have when your family is safe and you have money and you're secure in your living, you can spend time with your kids on your homework. You can spend time working on your education. When you don't have that money, there's a lot more stress. There's a lot more work to make things happen. It's hard to get those kids necessary in your home the needs they met. And so this is a big issue. I think this is the big. If I just choose just one issue and it'll let me only have one issue, this is the biggest issue facing Sioux Falls School District right now. And it's interesting, on one hand, we have this thing in our school district. We've been really growing in our technical education and in our gifted programs, like the all-city school. You got the tech career college. You got advanced placement programs. That's all well and dandy, but we haven't seen any growth hardly on the other end of the spectrum. Now there's an argument going on because of the Spanish immersion program and, of course, the other programs I just mentioned. Well, should we expand them or not? They want to expand Spanish immersion out of middle school, and people like me say that's fine and dandy. However, what are we going to do about the other half? And is it more important that we expand those programs or we figure out a way to handle the whole? And that's the conversation going on right now, and at least needs to happen. Sioux Falls, this is what's going on. Sioux Falls people in the whole are very kind and generous people. They believe in what they say, and if they knew how bad it was, I think they would put more effort to helping fix it. And I mean, you look at the stats, at a good election, the best election ever for a municipal city election is 30%. I mean, that's
just
best
abysmal.
ever. I know this year is supposed to be 9. Lowest is usually 3. It's usually between 3 and 50.
Yep, I've had I have like a running pool with the candidates I've interviewed where the lowest one has come in at 9 and the highest one said that it would be 15% this year. So we'll see where it lands, and I'll know who told me right on that. But no, so you've talked a little bit about poverty and the issue that brings to Sioux Falls and our school district. What would your role be as a member of our school board to help mitigate or manage or work with that as an issue?
Okay, so then that goes to my campaign platform, as you will, with 3 planks. I'm using the correct terminology there.
Yeah, you're nailing it.
So I have even on my signs what few of them that there are. That's based on flexibility, technology, and then getting local control of our curriculum. Or I have on my signs no Common Core to make it easy for people. We need to make sure that our teachers are given all the tools they need to meet these students that are in unorthodox situations. And I know this personally because when I was 18, in my senior year, right before I was supposed to sing a solo and chorus, by the way. I never did get to sing that. I got chronic pancreatitis, and that completely changed my world. And I had no idea. I had been in the middle of school, I'm about an average student. I did not know the underbelly of school, where the kids that get thrown under the bus now and then end up. And that's where I was. And there were a few teachers that worked their butts off to teach me, even though I couldn't physically be in the classroom with them. One of them passed away in 2010, Steve Wallingberg. Amazing guy, world history teacher. I really appreciate his effort. I'm sad he passed away.
Yeah.
Now, there are great people like that in our schools. That's the thing. Although it's good we have incentives for people to come, that's what teacher pay gives us, incentives for the best people to come. There's still teachers that stay here even though the pay is crap. They care that much about what's going on, and they work that hard. Other teachers, a few could just not care.
Yeah.
But the majority just couldn't. They didn't have the tools to do that. That was 2007, 2008. It's now 2016. The barriers that we can break with technology and the barriers we can cut with red tape are huge. I sound like Donald Trump. Huge. Just internet technology alone can change that by so much. In our rural school districts, forever now, they can have, I have a one-room schoolhouse, or I can only get education at home. Well, you can connect a teacher, over the internet with your laptop. Well, we can do a similar thing. I mean, that's just one idea. That's the flexibility I'm talking about. Let the teachers teach the students, even if the student is sick, if they're healthy, if they're smart, if they're dumb, if they're poor, if they're rich. I have no idea. Maybe they don't like to come in the morning. I don't know what it is. That's for them to work out. But give them that opportunity to work it out, because school is not about, it's not about, discipline is sometimes important, but it's more about the learning part and gaining a real desire to learn. You have a desire to grow and to do radio and podcasting, and you care about that. That's the goal. You want to make intellectuals and academics, people that care what the heck is going on, what they're going to do with their life, what happened in the past, what's going on now. That's the biggest main goal with school, and that's what we need to focus on with our flexibility. So even if students, and I know teenagers are a pain, I still have one left I'm helping raise.
Yeah.
Woof, I know. So I didn't know that they could be a pain. To all you teachers, if you hear this, you're like, he has no idea what he's talking about. These students are so hard. No, I understand. I'm just speaking from a very positive outlook. That's what we want to do. And I would say that President Schoolberg, Kent Alberty, that he understands this some, if I had to pick out one of my competitors that does, because he recognizes that sometimes we can over-discipline our kids in the school district. And while it's important that, laws and rules are followed, you still want to be able to educate them. So, this goes then to technology. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'm not letting you get any words in.
You are fine. That's kind of what I do with my interviews, is I let you tell your story a little bit, and I'll just guide you along the way. So,
okay, thank you. So, part 2 is technology, and this is another part that Sioux Falls has no idea. Because you have something called the candid camera effect. You might be familiar with the story. Original candid camera was on radio. And what their strategy was they just film what was happening, and they wouldn't jump out and say, you're on camera, and they get the smiles. That wasn't there. It was an actual honest-to-goodness representation of what was going on. And the problem is, when people go in front of a camera, in front of a reporter, they don't necessarily tell the truth. They try to tell you what they think you want to hear.
Yep.
And that's our problem. So I don't think the professionals in Sioux Falls, the parents in Sioux Falls, understand what our technology situation is. I don't want to put down anyone that's in charge of putting out the technology, but they need to relook at what they're doing. Number one, and my teenage sister disagrees with me on this, but as my experience as a substitute teacher, the smart boards they have in the schools, which are thousands a piece. Way expensive.
I've priced a few of those.
Yep. That is such a waste of money. There is almost... I have met maybe one substitute teacher in my substitute teacher career that knows how to use those things. Many of the teachers don't know how to use them. They're just like really expensive whiteboards at that point. They're just not worth it. And really, most of the things you can do now, you could just have your tablet, a computer, and projector, and you'd be good. So we need to make sure that we're not overspending our money on nice and shiny things. Sometimes people do that with technology, kind of like in the 80s, everything was shiny and chrome.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to make sure we're not doing the 2016 technology buying equivalent.
Yeah.
Yep, and that goes, the Chromebook is the other problem. Those things are a piece of crap. My sister jokes about, it's like, I don't understand why the parents don't understand this at all. They think it's so great. They don't understand. I've had friends that threw it out of a car, teenagers again. Throw it out of the car, it's fine, but they bring it home, they start typing, and the screen just cracks on its own. And, when things constantly are breaking, most kids are having to pay for it to get fixed at some point. We've only had them, 3 years now? If you put them backwards in the case, there's a very high chance they'll break. And, it's just a normal, black, almost like a purse case. You put it in backwards, there's a good chance you'll break the device. They're just bad.
I had no idea. That's
I was surprised too. I had, and this is what I've learned by talking to my sister and her friends and connecting more with the kids, what they actually think, the high schoolers. And it's amazing. We could do so much better. Another problem is if you go to internet school, you think, well, if I was going to teach kids with internet, I go to YouTube and I might show this documentary on Netflix and I go to this website and that website. You can't do that. Not in our school district. Netflix is banned. YouTube is banned.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
YouTube is like the greatest.
I know. Sometimes they can get around it, but more often than not, they can't.
This guy, like, I'd say half of the programming I've learned was like, as you know, going to school here in Sioux Falls for computer programming. YouTube, man, there are so many free courses and great tutorials on. You can build amazing things with the videos on there. It's just like, it's a whole world of learning, and they block.
Oh
that.
Yeah, my little brother learned how to. He's like 3 years younger, so I shouldn't say little. He learned how to rebuild a car almost practically by himself via YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean, some people are really great with it.
It's a great resource.
And you know, these are all these interesting, innovative technologies just online, you and your computer, and that's all you need. Well, you know, internet, of course. That's amazing. You know, these enterprising kids are able to get to adult sites just fine, but they can't get to these basic teaching websites that, you know, college kids, you know, at the University Center has a great approach, at least when it comes to this. You know, technology, they did try the smartboard thing at first, but no teacher hardly use it, so you don't see them anymore in the University Center rooms. That, you know, they just have a teacher, they might have their projector, and then they'll show the video. And that's great. That does a lot more than you realize. It allows people who are more visual learners to really connect with the subject matter, and that's what we need to allow. We need to unleash the internet, let it off its leash, and run around some. Let the teachers use that creativity. These teachers can be amazing, creative, instructive teachers who can teach with the most innovative technology in ways that you and I have never even thought of.
Yeah,
we need to let them do it. And I think that that's how we should approach technology. I know that administrators get scared that if you let kids have full internet privilege, they'll run wild, and some will.
And you can filter. You don't have. You know, filters are much more sophisticated nowadays than just saying no YouTube. YouTube has age restrictions. I know, because I post videos, and when I've got someone on that, you know, uses some coarse language, it's like I, you know, use the age advisory thing, so then I know that when they're doing the age check thing, this is like, kids aren't, you know, to the best of my ability, are not watching that, whereas something that isn't, you know, that's in the settings. It's like a checkbox, 3 second, or, you know, a second to do that on YouTube. So
yeah, no, right. It definitely needs fixed, and that's the easiest to fix, the technology part, because you could do that in a year's time. If we could get the board to agree on it, and I think that's one we can, because that's not a conservative liberal thing. That's just a practicality thing, and so regardless of the ideology of the members of the board, I think we could come together and re-examine what technology we're paying for. And then, you know, third, it goes to the No Common Core. You know, everyone knows about the articles and the videos, the examples of the wonky math exam. Everyone has seen that by now.
Yep.
Or any, if you haven't seen them yet, go see them. You're behind
Google
the curve.
Common Core.
The worst part that people don't understand about Common Core is how ridiculously strict it is. It isn't just that you have to do wonky math. It's that you have to do wonky math. You have to follow these rules. And the school teachers are given some leverage, but too often it stops them from teaching the way that they would want to teach. And that's a big problem. You know, I've met now experienced teachers, worked 35 years, and she'll say to me, you know, I hate Common Core. You know, I used to do things this way and that way, and it was great. The kids loved it. I loved teaching it. Now I hate teaching. I want to retire as soon as I can. I want to get out of here. Because Common Core does that. It sucks the creativity out of the room. The idea was to make a national standards, and sometimes the problem with standardizing things is that you restrict that creativity. And so we need, I'm not, now to those on the left side of the spectrum, sometimes it's felt that this is a more conservative issue. I'm not saying that we need to get rid of everything in Common Core. What I'm saying is we need to go as a school district, go back to peer, or, you know, talk to the legislature next year and say, hey, we don't like the curriculum, let's rework it. Or, you know what, just give us local control. Let the school districts decide the curriculum standards they'll follow. And we can do that. The legislature will listen to us. If we came together and maybe we grabbed like Rapid City as well, and I'm sure they'll go. They're practically anarchists over there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're at least libertarians with some of them. I've listened to their talk radio. I know how they think.
Oh yeah, I got family over there. I know how they roll.
Yeah, we just need to go to them and say, let's just get this off the pallet. It's not popular. 2 years ago, I think I would have been here to stay. However, by another political miracle similar to the one we just had here in South Dakota, the national legislature got a bill signed by the president that says the Department of Education cannot punish a state, take away their funding because they choose a curriculum that isn't recommended by the Department of Education. And so that means, effectively, that we can get rid of Common Core and we won't be punished for it. So that worry about we'll lose the school funding is gone.
Yep.
So let's just go and do it. You got to tell me that just at the very least you like to have control of it and just have it the way you want. And I think we can do it. The three big platforms on mine are just based on things that we can all meet. Because here's the honest point. Education in the city of Sioux Falls, as in most areas of the country, is very a left-controlled issue. Their school board is. If by some miracle I'm elected, it'll just be me against everyone else. So if I went from a conservative ideology just by myself, chances are I'm not going to be able to do much. However, if we come together at the very least, at the very basic, the places that we can meet together, we can do a lot of good if we just, swallow our pride, humble ourselves, take a deep breath, and work on it. Totally possible. If there's any other issues I think that people should be aware of, continue to care and to pay attention. That's the most important part. I know that sounds so trivial and everyone says that, but in the United States of America, we do struggle with political participation. That isn't just mean voting, although voting is a very important part. It also just means what's going on. What is my kid learning at school? What does the homework say? If one day you're shocked, oh my gosh, how is this here? You should have been paying attention.
Yeah, I think I've said that to a few people who will tell me about what they don't like about the city government, and I'll be like, well, who did you vote for in the last election? And they'll be like, oh, I've never voted for the municipal government. And I'm like, well, there you go. Or I always think about the older people complaining about millennials this and millennials that. Usually my response is just kind of like, gee, who made the millennials? Who raised the millennials and told them?
I'm looking at you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm just like, and don't get me started on you, baby boomers. Don't get me started.
Yeah, it's the school district is so important because it's weird. We're so unconnected to it, and yet it has so much influence on our families. They take what they learn at the school and take it back in the home. And the city council can try what they want, but they are not going to get their ideology in your house. But the school board will. And what their kids learn is so important. We want every kid to finish school, no matter what ideology or religion or background they come from, to just be fantastic. They need to go forward and say, I can do it. I have this potential. I can learn. I'm not saying, they should have a realistic idea that it will be tough, but that they are capable of doing it. Making capable adults that can reach their educational potential. That's the goal. I mean, come on.
We say they're the future, and that sounds trite because it's so cliche, but it's just like, but no, seriously, they are the future. If you don't, 20 years from now when you're sitting around not liking something, it's because of the actions we took now. I mean, I look at my life, and I know that's anecdotal, but I can't find anyone who doesn't have just like one terrible teacher that really turned them off of something, and at least one great teacher who like really steered them and opened their world to them, and it just... People mythologize their teachers from when they were growing up and stuff, and it's because they're larger than life figures and influence. I mean, a good teacher can be more, or can be same or more influenced than the parents are.
Sometimes, definitely, because those teenagers. I'm telling you. I'm sorry. My sister, she's a senior in high school, and she's trying to figure out how to approach adult life and college and stuff. But sometimes I'm just like, can it just be over?
You ever want to warn her? Just like, turn back now. But I always get a kick out of the ones that are 18 like that and think they're king of the world, and I'm like, oh, You are headed for such a wall, buddy. Oh my gosh.
You are such a shock.
Yep. You have no idea.
We could do it. Sioux Falls, South Dakota has such potential. I don't know if they see it. They have such potential, and we could really make this happen. We can really make our schools the best. We always say that we're the best, and then we don't share the stats actually.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that school over there, yeah, they failed every test.
Yeah.
And I think this is the last part. If I have to do, I could say, because I'm a very conservative, almost libertarian, constitutionalist kind of guy, that we should move it so that when kids graduate, they need to pass the same civics test that people that want to become citizens
for
do.
immigration.
Yeah.
Do they still have civics? When I went through, that was required yet, but I think they dropped. I was one of the last years where they had mandatory civics in high school. Or do you know? Do they still do that?
They sometimes do. They sometimes have them still take a class, I believe. I want to say Mr. Foster was my civics teacher at Lincoln. He's still there. He has a picture of Bill Clinton in his room, by the way. That's just kind of how it is. It's hard to find the other side. That's how education is. It's life.
One of my favorite teachers, Mr. Guthmiller, and I hope he hears this or listens on a regular basis because he rock star. He had to get out of teaching, which breaks my heart just because family situation and he needed the money, and so he ended up in insurance and stuff. But really great teacher, really great coach. But his proudest thing was that he was a defender of Richard Nixon and Richard Nixon's legacy. And so on election day, he had an actual preserved campaign, one of those big old 60s style campaign buttons from the Richard Nixon campaign. And he would wear that around on election day. And that was his prized possession. Just
way to go.
Strut around with that. And I was but awesome guy, great teacher. And one of the people who got me interested in politics. So those of you who totally disagree with me, you can thank Mr. Guthmiller for me being on the air talking about politics.
Nixon's a ghost likes him.
Yep.
I that's more that I'm so bad. I have such ADHD moments. You want people to stick to their guns. That's if the people have a problem with millennials is that they don't necessarily know their principles and they don't know how to stick to them. And that's, that is mostly on parents. I think teachers do have some of that by example, but definitely parents, that's your job. Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. God be with you.
Amen.
So just be aware, and let's try also, and this is more me. This isn't a conservative thing. I don't know why I keep saying that. I really want people to all come together on the school board. I don't want people to be put off by politics. This test, we're about in the middle. We have many schools that are failing bad, and we have some schools that are doing really good. And we have this mix, but you wouldn't be able to tell which school is which unless you go.
It's deceptive, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and you have to go the South Dakota State. Department of Education for the State of South Dakota website. Then you have to go through this, click that, click this. Download a PDF and a RTF file. It's I took a professional research class, and this is a lot harder than most of the stuff I had to do there. People just don't understand, and the school district, it used to be, you can't give every parent, the research and studies that we get, that'd be too much paper. Well, that's not an issue now. The internet, the servers that are required to carry text documents is minimal. That's so tiny. That from working in computers and servers.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no excuse now, unless it lets people identify a person directly, and you can always anonymize information.
Yeah.
We should just let it happen.
And part of what you run into with governments and technology is they have their can only buy from certain bidders on certain windows. I've had friends who are programmers and networkers that have worked for the county and for the city and things like that. And the red tape, if you think the red tape is bad in schools, which it is, the red tape for getting any kind of new technology, even at the federal level, is absurd. It's amazing they have work. It's like the NSA sounds scary until you realize how much red tape they have just to buy a computer. And then you're oh, yeah. It's funny because you always see the high-tech things in government, and then you go to the DMV and they might have a something running like AS 400.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on the state you're in.
Yeah, my uncle he was in the Air Force overseas for a while. He said, people don't know this, but the first time we got a major virus on the Pentagon computer, it's still there, by the way, guys, was some idiot saw a flash drive in the parking lot and decided to poke it in.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah. Yep. Government makes inept decisions. Like private businesses make inept decisions, but often they have to pay for it. But government, you just gotta keep on going.
Makes me think of that show, Mr. Robot. There's a point where he's trying to hack into this police department to rescue his girlfriend or something like that, and he just goes around with a bunch of flash drives in the parking lot and just scatters them out in the hopes that one of them, and sure enough, one of them sticks him into his laptop, and he's like, I'm in.
Sorry, that was definitely dipping into my talk radio heritage there. Sorry. That was
no problem.
But everything else, I think we can agree on. And I've met the other candidates. They're great individuals. I at least think they are. Ideologically, we disagree, but I think Ken Alberti, I already mentioned him. I think he's a great guy. He's very personable. He's very kind. I know Randy Doppelmayr some. He's probably closest ideologically, still very left of center, but if we had to define terms that way. There's also Kali Ryder. She's the other incumbent. She's technically a Republican. Definitely, if you are familiar with the term rhino, that would apply. That would apply to her. Then maybe she's proud of that. There are liberal Republicans that like being liberal Republicans. And then I want to think. I feel bad now. I can't remember her name. Okay, one nice blonde lady. She got the flowers on the medians here in town. She's also running for city council. Anyhow.
Oh, are you talking about Tracy Stahl?
No, Tracy Stahl. That's maybe. You know what? Maybe I'll tell you her name later. I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Okay. If I am elected, I'm going to warn everyone that I will not remember your name. I have the worst ability to remember names and faces. I'm not face blind, but I'm pretty close to.
Fair enough.
So, if anything else I want to say, please vote for me, or at the very least, vote. Tell your family, friends, let's vote. If you want to vote for me, I would love it. I'd love to serve you. I'd give you my sweat, blood, and tears. I try to make things happen and work as a team with the other school board members and administrators and teachers. It's like more cliches here, but we do love our children. We want the best for them. I am a big part. I'm not gonna, the proudest day of my life is my younger brother John. He's 5 years younger than me. I was probably 20 when he said this, so he was like 14, 15. He said, Peter, you're more of a father to me than Dad is.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had grown up, and I'm growing up still, sort of, a single-parent home, and that was just the situation. I kind of had to be the man of the house, another cliche. And that's, I have a great love for the potential of children. It's amazing to watch them change from grubs into full-grown adults. And we could do it, guys. We can make this school district awesome. We just got to pay attention and put some more work into it.
Well, excellent. Peter, one last thing. Do you have any websites or social media that listeners should be aware of?
Okay, so I'm a media guy. I'm a journalism major. I'm a graduate student right now at SDSU. So I did make sure that I had a campaign website. It is www.pick, so P-I-C-K, Pischke, Pischke.org. I thought org might be more friendly to some other people because I don't know .com's evil. I just don't get it. That's how some people feel. It's no, it's not WNYC.com. No, it's .org.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then I also have a Facebook page too, that's just similar. If you vote for the other ones, do it because you feel the right person. If you're religious, pray about it. Talk it over with your family. Who we elect is going to determine a lot what happens here. And I know it seems small in the short term, but those small things add up. So pay attention, go vote, and let's do this thing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
I
very
didn't know
much.
I'd enjoy myself here so much. Travis Nye is a friend of mine. I
Good
know
guy.
him through church. Yeah, great guy. He's kind of a funny guy. The magician thing is, you wouldn't know that just knowing that he has this huge passion for magic tricks and being a magician and stuff. But that's really his thing, and he's had some success there lately, and so I'm really proud of
Absolutely.
him for doing that. He's a good guy. So if you heard a previous podcast about Travis Nye, go watch his videos. Earn him some views.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Peter.
Okay, thank you.